Now that we've decided to go with the product, it's time to create a purchase order and actually make the purchase. And that's exactly what I'll be explaining in this lesson. So to start off with a high level kind of overview here, we need to make an agreement that we both want to sign or agree upon to make the process of purchasing these goods very clear for both parties. You could say this is like a legally binding agreement, but at the end of the day, the likelihood of you like hiring a lawyer in China to go after this factory if they decide not to do what you want is very low, or is going to end up costing you more money than the order itself did. I still do like to create purchase orders because I like to have a written agreement between the supplier and myself, so that we both know what to expect, what we're getting, and really just kind of everything in that particular area, all right? So to create a purchase order, I'm going to go back into the Jungle Scout supplier tracker, and this is the factory that I decided to go with. I even labeled them my supplier so I remember. The quotes that they gave me are in there. I'm using this quote of $4.45 because I'm only ordering 500. But I can get it cheaper if I want to order 1,000. I had taken a picture of my sample and I put it in there. Now it's time to create a purchase order. So I'm going to walk you through kind of like each of these steps here. And the PO number, if you're a small business, you probably don't really care what that is, and that's fine. And I'm just going to enter, let's say this is effective for December 1, or is the date on it. I'm going to start entering some of this information, all right? Shipping address, I'm going to put the Amazon distribution center there. Contact name, it's going to be Amazon FBA. Actually, it's going to be the name from Freightos. After I placed this order, they would tell me who my contact was. But for now, let's just say CBay contact. All right. And then the quote was the first quote. I don't have the ASIN yet. This is going to be yard signs. The unit cost, $4.45. And here we can enter some more information. Now, I do like to use a purchase agreement like this when I'm placing this order. I'll copy and paste this and I'll just walk through it with you guys. Dun, dun. And it's a little bit long, but we can go relatively quickly. All right. I would enter my factory name here, of course. I won't make you guys wait while I do that. All right, agree to the following. So this, I try to be as specific as possible in this area, right? So I'm gonna say like 500 units of, and then I'd probably give the product details here. So my product details would be my exact dimensions, which I'll pull out of here. So actually, for this particular scenario, I'm going to actually just include these exact pictures since they do a better job than what the text would. I'm going to save all these. I'm also going to copy what I originally sent them. Back in my doc. Paste those in there. Oh, you guys don't have to watch me format that, but essentially I want to be as specific as possible about my particular product, okay? After that, I would insert those 3 images right here. I'll show you those. I would enter those right there. The total cost. This is important. You want to make sure to get this right. $2,225. All right. I like this piece that's in here. It says if the production time exceeds the agreed upon production time, so they actually told me 20 days. The first party requires advance notification at least 3 days. If production is delayed more than 7 days, the first party reserves the right to enforce a 5% discount on the order for every 7 days that production is delayed. All right. And I do like to enforce this with the factory. So it's like you give them a 7-day window. After that, for every 7 days that it's late, you get a 5% discount. And I actually have been able to always get my factories to agree upon this. But if you don't agree upon this ahead of time, there's no way they're going to give you any kind of discount. So I think this is a really good thing to include in here and agree upon ahead of time. Talks about there can't be any flaws. We reserve the right for an inspection. I also have in here what I like to call a poor man's inspection. I like this a lot because you're requiring the sales rep to take pictures as the product is produced. And the benefit of that is you can spot any faults early. And with that, you can be like, whoa, 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 that was supposed to be a white sign and it's yellow. What are you doing? And before they've made all 500 of them, they can fix that. So I like to include a requirement for the sales rep to it's just cell phone pictures. They just take pictures with their cell phone and send them to me. All right. Shipping, we're going to be doing these ocean freight. So I'd remove that. Yeah, so they're not going to be paying for that. So I would edit that accordingly. All right. I tell them exactly how I want them to label the master carton, which is a good thing to do. So I would include my product name here, case quantity, made in China. So we haven't talked about any of the branding stuff yet, but so for now I'll just say yard signs. This is how many units are in each case. I'd ask them to enter the real weight and dimensions for those. If you want them to send a sample by air, what we're talking about here is they would send one sample ahead of time so that I could give that to my photographer, so that by the time the goods arrived at Amazon, that my photographer would have already taken the pictures. I have a confidentiality agreement in here to ask them not to share any of my artwork or photos on Alibaba or anywhere else. And then this is an important part of the payment terms, all right? So with this factory, I negotiated, they originally asked for 50% up front, 50% due at shipment. I negotiated 30 up front and 70 due at shipment. So we had 2,225 times 0.3. We'll call it 668. And then the rest, let's see, minus 668. 1557, due at shipment. And they're not going to handle any of that. After that, you are going to company name, date, supplier name, all that good information, and then sign this and send it over. All right. So that's the agreement that I like to include. Let's just for purpose of this example, let's take this and paste it back into here. And then right here, we're going to generate purchase order. All right. What I can do then is view this. And this is what my purchase order looks like. So Jungle Scout spits me out a nice professional looking purchase order with all the information that I just talked about. You enter your agreements in here. And then at the bottom of this, you would have the spot to sign it. So it's nice to have this. It just adds a level of professionalism that otherwise may be kind of difficult to have, all right? When working with Chinese business culture, it's typical for them to stamp it and sign it. That's like the level, or that's kind of like what makes it official, kind of like how we view just our signature. Sometimes they'll ask you to stamp it too. I've always just said, like, we don't have a stamp or we don't typically use one or whatever else. That's never been a problem. Just want to give you a heads up though with that. The other thing is, after both parties have signed, it is time to pay them. The most common form of payment and what they kind of expect is going to be a wire transfer, which they usually refer to as a TT payment. Okay, to do that, you can usually do it through your online banking, or you might have to go through the bank to do internationally. You give them their bank account number and address, whatever else, and you would send the money through that. Alternatively, some factories do accept other payments. The next most common form of payment, or the next one that I would recommend, would be Alibaba's trade assurance. So most of them will accept this. And how it works is you pay Alibaba and then Alibaba pays them. And this isn't quite a traditional escrow. However, it does give you a certain level of protection against fraud or not receiving your product. Or I will say, like, if you don't receive your product straight up, you'll probably be able to get all your money back. If there's quality problems or time problems, I probably wouldn't expect to actually get any money back through Alibaba, to be fair. But it does protect you against, like, if it's straight up fraudulent, then Alibaba most likely will return your money. I used to try to pay by PayPal because they have a certain level of protection too, but most factories won't accept PayPal, or if they do, they'll jack up the prices because PayPal charges them some pretty big fees. I would not recommend paying through Western Union or any of the similar things like that. It's just not best practice, and there's a decent chance that you're getting scammed if they say they only accept Western Union. All right, so I'd say wire transfers are most common. If you want to do trade assurance and they'll accept it, feel free to do so. You can ask about PayPal, but they probably won't accept it, and I definitely wouldn't do Western Union. All right, so that's about it. I send them the purchase order we just created. I sign it. They sign it. We both have a copy of it. I wire the initial deposit to them, or I send it through trade assurance. After that, it is time to wait patiently as they're making your products. And once the goods are finished, you'll have them inspected if you choose to do so. We'll talk about that more in a later lesson. And after they've been finished, you usually do the final payment. After that, they'll be shipped to you. And then that's when it gets really exciting, because that's when it's time to get it into Amazon and make that first sale. Congratulations making it this far, and I'll talk to you more in the next lesson. See you there.